Okay, so we are at our master class today, and I want to thank everyone for joining us online. And again, guys, you might want to, since I'm just now remembering my phone, but I want to talk about how to lead change and drive revenues, especially in the climate that we're in today. And I think that we can all agree that change is the new normal. And with that, I think, though, comes lots of opportunities to think differently, to be innovative, to change mindsets, to grow. So I want to start off by asking a question, and you can take it wherever you want. But what is one of the things, the changes that you've had to go through recently successfully? If you can kind of tell us about that and how that kind of worked out, the process for you. And everybody's looking at Pete, so.
I'll start out.
Okay, go.
Dr. Randy Hamilton, I'm the founder and owner of iKids Pediatric Dentistry and Orthodontics. And on the healthcare system, COVID changed a lot. And I think our technology going into being able to use Zoom was a drastic change. Teledentistry, telemedicine has helped us drastically just to make it through the months that we were closed. All of my marketing shut down. I had to get rid of a lot of executives on my team. My corporate office, one entire floor, I got rid of my call center, my training facility, I had to get rid of. So instead of all of my employees coming in and getting that training and onboarding, we were able to alleviate a lot of that expense and use our technology through Zoom. That was a big change for us.
Okay.
I mean, you know, we basically immediately shut down all of our office. We sent everybody home. We had gotten some advance warning to some extent because we do have an office in Shanghai. And so they went away in February for New Year's and they didn't come back to work. They weren't allowed to come back to work. And so we actually started stockpiling Chromebooks, laptops. We had people, you know, we had various people that if they were near a Walmart in, you know, Weatherford, they would stop in and see if there was anything available. And people were buying 10 at a time, 4 at a time, basically cleaning out shelves everywhere to bring stuff here in anticipation that maybe everybody has to go home.
That's interesting because we all went and got toilet paper. And you got.
We probably should have done that too. You know, priorities.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll be at home, so
Yeah.
not gonna worry about toilet paper. But it was very challenging. It's our international offices are still very challenging. We have a pretty large operation in India, which is still basically shut down. We actually have an advantage in Texas that people, this is a good thing that you have cars. We have so many issues with people that really can't get to work because of public transportation issues. You know, limited ridership or people just flat out scared. But we did jump on COVID. We basically were able to function pretty normally from home, other than the warehouse, obviously. And right now we have drastically modified some of our working from home policies. We're seeing the biggest challenge has been more difficult than we thought of bringing employees back and how to do that. So we're basically, for most roles now, 2 days work from home per week. And we've kind of set up as kind of the normal schedule is to be in Monday, Tuesday, Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So you got me on a good day.
Okay. One of you two guys?
Well, I would say that our company, being a startup here in Texas, started in the garage. Change is in our DNA. And when we looked at the major challenges facing our industry, economics, regionally or globally, we knew we weren't prepared going many years back. So we've had to reinvent and reorganize ourselves every couple of years. I'd say that the current cycle that we were in is a couple of years ago, we looked around ourselves and had an honest discussion about where we wanted to go in our vision and how we're going to get there, and realized we did not have the leadership management capabilities to do it. So we set about creating the greatest, leadership management team that we could, and bringing the best people that had the same vision. And I think because of that, I think that we're able to handle those changes that COVID brought. Is just one of the many changes that come. And I think it started with the creating of a good team that is flexible, motivated. And I think buying in on the vision allows them to do the work and make the decisions that other companies maybe didn't have the courage to do. We're still small, so that makes us be able to be flexible. So I'd say the biggest challenge we've had is building that management team and having them ready for anything. And COVID was just one of those examples.
So point of reference on the toilet paper, last year's surge is a 30% decline this year. So allergies are giving me problems. So excuse my voice. And, change in the last year and a half has made us better from a leadership standpoint, where we do paperboard packaging for consumer retail. So that's, when COVID first hit, we wondered initially, my gosh, are we going to have anything to run? And then we got overwhelmed by the pantry load that we've all read about. And we're just so busy despite the inability to hire and losing some people to COVID. So we start pulling out of that. And now, like a lot of manufacturing businesses, we're faced with just a critical raw material supply issue. So now we can't satisfy our customers' demand because we just can't get the raw material, or it's got such extended lead times, it's impacting our customers' ability to serve the retail environment. So it's been chaotic, to say the least, but it has made us better. So, all along, what we've told ourselves is let's keep our feet firmly in it with the foundation in today, into the now, so that we can serve our customers to the best of our ability. But knowing that this is a very dynamic situation, our eyes are focused on the future, and we're investing incrementally in talent and in capital so that, we don't know exactly where it's going. So we're doing a lot of contingency planning, but that's what's making us better is contingency planning and being more mindful and purposeful about our outlook of the future.
Well, that leads into my next questions is, considering the fact that change is the new normal, how do you prepare for that? What do you do to constantly look into the future, keep your pulse on that, and try to stay ahead of any potential changes? Because knowing that it's happening at a warp speed, and there was a survey, this was an interesting stat that I found, that 80% of the companies that are out there, I think they surveyed about 250 of the global companies, and they said that 80% of them expect to continue to transform into the year 2024. So they're not done. It's not over. And then you think about how fast things change. How do you do that? So individually, how do you guys look at the future and keep looking at that, knowing that you're going to continually have to change? It's not like you're changing and you're done and you can rest for a while. So how do you do that?
I mean, I'll go back to one of James' earlier comments. Being in our industry of electronic components and the growth that we have seen, we're pretty much always changing. Everybody's job has totally changed in the last 2 years, and it's different than it was 2 years before that. And I expect that to continue. I think for us, it's really, how can we leverage technology? For us, a big part of that is marketing. We continue to evolve our marketing to reach new customers, And then truly our president, Glenn Smith, president CEO, he is so hyper-focused on what does the customer want, what does the customer need? And he's always evaluating us compared to his own experiences from when he is the customer. And he is constantly doing that. So he's always challenging us, to provide more services, make the website more robust or whatever it is. So in many ways, it's hard to project what change is coming. Just know that it's always going to happen and keep, really keep that customer focused and let them drive you to where you're going.
Healthcare industry, you walk into a medical or dental office and you always want to feel that you're safe, that you're protected. And COVID has caused, I think, healthcare, not only nationwide, but worldwide, to go further than that. We want to, with our marketing now, we even want to make sure that these parents, these children that come into our offices, know that they are going to be protected and safe when they walk in, from themselves, from the office, from others. We can't afford to shut down our offices for 3 months again. So we want to make sure that we are doing what we can in order to eliminate that. Marketing has changed as well. I agree with that. And again, the use of technology. This is what we're continually looking at to increase our production, lower our bottom line as well.
The first thing I'd probably say is when you're looking about how to face change, I think it's important to get your mind in the right framework. When people look at change and they see cost reductions and problems with employment, disruptions in the marketplace, loss of market share, increased competition, additional regulation, taxation, you've already lost. I think the key is if you're going to address change properly, you have to take initiative. You need to be ahead of it. You need to be a part of it. You need to anticipate it. So my thought on change is, be part of it. Realize that change equals opportunity, and the companies that are going to gain the most are going to approach it that way. If you're going to be reactionary, you're lost. And that's my opinion on that.
Very good. Well said. So what we try to do is to embrace chaos, because we know it's going to be chaotic. We know we don't have all the answers. So we're trying to eliminate fear. We know we're going to make some mistakes along the way. But to James' point, we want to be on the leading edge of making sure we're taking care of our customers and reacting to changes in the marketplace. And just from a talent standpoint, we as leaders, we set the weather. So if we set the expectation that, folks, this is just the way life's going to be for us, is that we're going to be embracing change and supporting it, then that sets the mindset properly, and you can gain a commitment and the troops rally behind you.
So this is for any of you, but most change initiatives, they say about 54% of them are successful.
Wow.
So, yeah. So how do you
She used to go to
ensure,
decimal places. I don't.
how do you ensure that whatever change initiative that you want to put out, how do you ensure that, or what do you personally do to make sure that happens, that change occurs?
That's an interesting statistic. We're in the business of launching products and brands, and if we had a 54% rate, we'd be ecstatic with that. So I think accept failure. I think if you're going to take bold changes, you got to accept that they don't always work. I think it's okay actually not to follow through with the wrong change. Sometimes you start on something, the market doesn't respond, or initiative the company doesn't take hold. However, if it's a matter of company future and meeting the vision, the management and the head of the company, the heads of the company have to be committed, and you can't give up. So if it's a matter of your destiny and achieving your potential, you can't give up. So it depends on what type of change you're talking about. I think it's okay to pivot, and decide that you went down the wrong course and quit. So I don't think that 54% is actually that bad of a statistic.
We're in a time period where it's new for all of us. So any changes that are occurring, we are all, I can speak for everyone, we are doing our best to prepare for that change. And my COO would love this question because she knows that I'm the guy that will look at something, I'm gonna jump off the cliff, and it's her job to make sure that I don't fall all the way down.
Yeah.
So, you know, we embrace the change, we do our best to prepare for it. And if we see that it's not going to be as successful as we want it to be, then we direct and we make another change.
I do think a big part of it is communication too. Because if you're gonna move make a drastic change, you really have to have the entire company behind it in many ways. So of course, it's gonna take great leadership to do it, but I think you have to communicate, hey, this is the direction, here's the why we're doing it, so that people have a feeling that they're a part of it. So I think the biggest problem with change is not so much, that the CEO's committed to this change or, it's not a bad change, but it's really filtering it down so everybody is willing to accept the change and participate in it. And, some of the time, there's definitely been times though where some people were not willing to take the change. They're generally gone after a while. And that's going to happen too but you have to bring a lot of people along with it.
Well, do you think that considering how fast things are changing, and we had a Dr. David Davinian for a leadership workshop, and he gave some information I thought was really fascinating. He said that how fast knowledge is doubling now in comparison to the past. So if you took the early 1900s, he said that knowledge doubled every 100 years. And it kind of increased as we went on. Today, he said that the knowledge increases every 12 hours. And so that's astonishing when you think about that. And when you look at leadership, which I think is what you're all saying, the whole thing used to be change management. You got to manage the change. Now you've got to lead it. And so how do you create that mindset, or what do you do to create the mindset within the team to make sure that that is followed through? Because I think it takes a different mindset today among the management team. What do you do?
You collaborate, you make sure there's an opportunity for the voices to be heard. You don't dismiss because, something that might have seemed unlikely a few years ago might be a real strategic future initiative. So the question is, how do you make that groundswell? And you can't deal with everything that gets brought forward. So you need a filtering process, if you will. And I think that's the art form of leadership is what to focus on out of all the ideas that bubble up and what not to. But you certainly got to keep your fingers on the pulse of what's going on and react and adapt.
I mean, I think in many ways, if you're with a smaller company or a company that's growing rapidly, you really are changing all the time. So I don't think our leadership had to be, change wasn't new to them. I mean, we're always changing. I really feel that. I know Andy and James have done that too, that you're always doing something. There's always a change if you're in a high growth mode so I think in many ways, the leadership was expecting it. COVID was a specific event that maybe our change was different than it was in the past. But it was still a constant, it was change, it was going to happen. So it just created a different environment for it.
I would say that as far as to create teams and management structures that are able to manage change or be part of the change, I think it might be interesting just to talk about the characteristics we find in the people that are able to do that really well. And I think in my experience is the people on your team that are curious, that are always investigating and always learning and looking for new ideas from all over, not just inside the company or not just inside the industry, but from other sources, and bringing those things to bear. Because when things happen, it's those ideas that end up getting the innovation where the great results will come from. So I think you want a curious team. I want the team that's continuous learning. I think the other thing with management, though, to create an organization that's healthy, to be able to manage that, you really need management that's main focus is empowering and realizing the potential of the people. And I think if you have those three things, I think you're unstoppable. So if you want to build a team and management structure that's able to take care of change, you get curious people at the top, you get people dedicated to continuous learning, and then you get management that's dedicated to bringing the best to other people.
I agree with that. I wouldn't leave off the fact that presentation is key. When you have to get in front of your entire team, you have to know how to present. Attitude makes a huge difference as well.
So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about driving revenue. So with all of this going on, and I know some of you have already mentioned the fact that your marketing has changed. What are you doing to adapt and drive revenue? What's changed specifically? Is it just your marketing, or is it other factors that have changed for you as well? Whoever wants to go first, you can go first.
So, one advantage, we have a worldwide website, so website now is about 52, 53% of our revenue comes directly from the website, plus a whole bunch of research that leads to other revenue. So they're really using the website for even more than that. We know that. For the marketing, we've continued to invest in automation tools so that we market smarter, whether it's direct emails to our subscriber base. We spend a lot of time with Google understanding SEO and SEM, and we pay them a hell of a lot of money to do that. But so it all gets wrapped up, but a lot of it is more automation type tools to customize messages, to manage the subscriber base so that you're not sending the same email to everybody in your subscriber list every day. Those people, I get some of those and it drives me absolutely nuts. But we really have worked on doing very targeted emails based on customer preferences that truly we have built probably for about 6 or 7 years that started it, and then it just became that much more crucial now.
For us, it was just focusing more on our target audience. We actually stopped any of our grassroots marketing, got rid of all the radios that we were doing, and we started focusing more on Google reviews. We decided that if we could triple, quadruple the reviews, that's what our target audience would go in and look at, focus on, to make sure that this was the place that they wanted to go. So we just refocused.
Okay.
Since our company is called Sellmark, a little bit about sales and marketing, but I would actually say that our direction is you can have the right product and the right brand. It could be in the right place, right pricing, you have right distribution strategy. But the vulnerability of supply chain is our focus. And part of that long-term, addressing that issue is we've lived in the last 20 years in a fairly stable geopolitical arena, fairly peaceful in the country. I think there's fractures occurring. I think that, I think we should be ready for more disruption, especially international trade lanes. I think they're too vulnerable and too at risk, and we're very heavily dependent on that. So our challenge is, what can we do to take bigger control of everything of developing technology and the manufacturing of technology, and then how to get those products to markets globally. And when there's a change in opportunity, that our products are the ones that get that market first, and the right supply, and then pivot, the market changed again. So I would actually reverse it, saying it's really not a marketing sales problem for us, but it's what we can do to manufacture and develop this technology is going to market faster. So it's a lot more manufacturing operations than it ever has been before.
Okay.
First thing we're doing is making sure we protect our revenue engine, because that's what feeds us each and every day and allows us to continue to grow. So we're very purposeful about doing what we do well and continuing to do that. But with that being said, we know we need different go-to-market strategies to address all this change we're talking about, both the generational shift and just technology, and people are no longer buying the same way they did 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So we're real mindful of that. We're investing in more web presence. The customer of the future, they don't want a salesperson sitting in their lobby. They want to go to a website and order packaging, build their own box, implode their graphics, and be done with it and move on to the next thing. So we're equipping ourselves to be ready for that as it continues to emerge, and that's really important to us.
Okay. I want to ask you one last question before we finish out. What one piece of advice would you have to give someone a new business in regards to change and driving revenue?
I would say new businesses have a problem. They're undercapitalized, enough resource, enough labor. My experience working with entrepreneurs is that there's a couple different types. You have the one that always wants to work on the business plan and work and make it till it's perfect. And they never get to doing the business. And then, you have, the other side where they haven't really thought out a long-term plan, and then they go forward and they fail. So what I would tell entrepreneurs is do your planning at night when your customers are sleeping. The time during the day when your customers are awake, you need to be calling them, talking to them, and whatever you have, sell. It doesn't matter if it's perfect. It doesn't matter if it's priced right. The customer will tell you what they need, and if you can accommodate their request to get the business, and learn from it and move on. So my recommendation is sell, take that feedback, improve your product, make it better, and don't quit. Just keep going. If you have a good value proposition, the market eventually will see it.
My counsel would be to embrace chaos, because there's nothing that suggests we're going to be in anything other than chaos for the foreseeable future. Make it fun. Make it the cornerstone of your organization. Customers know who they're dealing with, and if that provides energy and enthusiasm for your team, customers feed off that, and your team in turn will feed off that, and that spurs continued reinvestment and reinvention. So that would be my encouragement.
Okay.
For me, it'd be know how to create the customer experience better than your competitor.
I think it is, really having an understanding of your customers' wants and needs. If you can understand that, and then how do you entice them? So what's going to be the trigger to make them act towards you? So we have this customer base, do we hit them with email? Is it just a website? Is it a Google ad? Is it, however it is? So how do they want to relate with you? Do they want a salesperson, which we still have some salespeople. We have a website. We have, all these ways, emails, whatever, who are they and how do they want to work with you?
Okay. All right. Thank you guys very much. We're going to go off Facebook Live.